Hi, I'm Georgia Crow, and my area emphasis is public health. I chose to write my paper on factors that affect teens in choosing to vape or use electronic cigarettes or e-cigarettes. I feel like this is important because the average age to try an e-cigarette is 12 years old, and the e-cigarette vaping market is booming. Like, it's making billions of dollars a year, and it's going super fast, and it's increasing, and more kids are trying it. And trying nicotine at 12 years old is just, it's not going to be good for you or for the public or for the future to come. This is also a problem because this is a generation, or the generation previous actually, where smoking has actually become to decline, and these kids will still tell you that they don't like smoking, that they think smoking is bad, it's ugly. They don't think like people should do it, but they are using e-cigarettes, which still contains nicotine. The two area of emphasis I decided to use were public health and marketing, and I used public health because well, obviously the public health aspects of smoking in public places. Some places do have bans on smoking, but they don't have bans on use of electronic cigarettes or e-cigarettes. But if they do, it's because that privately owned business or corporation or place has enacted it themselves privately to not allow it. Some studies only found that they only know a small dose of the second and third hand smoking in a clinical setting, because in these clinical settings they're using the same modification on an electronic cigarette, and then the aerosols vapor cloud in it is being used. They only know like a small bit of what those people are consuming. However, e-cigarettes are extremely customizable. They can be modified a bunch of different ways, and so there's no way to know what this person is inhaling and what this person is inhaling. So it's hard, because if you're in the public and there's people with immune compromised systems, or troubled breathing, or just asthma in general, or other things like that, there's no way to know how it's going to affect them, where they can go, where they can't go, if they don't know what is going to be a problem with them. Okay. Another thing that I looked at was the ingredients or flavors in public health. That was another public health topic. I felt like the ingredients were important because it talked about the ingredients in the liquid, and it also talked about like the ingredients and the flavors. And this is important because the flavors was the most common reason to be picked by teenagers on to try. And there's different flavors such as mint and Red Bull, Skittles, there's creme brulee, there's taffy, there's green apple, and all these different flavors. These flavors are marked by the FDA to be safe to be consumed. That means you can eat them by like going through your mouth or digestive tract and stuff like that, but there's no studies on showing that if the FDA approves if they can be inhaled by aerosol fumes. There is a few studies that show mint is known to cause asthma attacks, or other studies that show that the factory workers that make the flavoring for butter popcorn, these workers have been known to get a irreversible lung disease. It's called nicknamed popcorn lung, and like that's a long-term thing. Like, your lungs do not come back from that, and that's just the workers that are making the flavor for the popcorn. That does not. We don't know how it affects teens who are consuming a popcorn flavor 10, 12 times a day. I feel like the ingredients in the e-cigarettes were important to include in the paper, because you have to know what's in an e-cigarette to know, hey, maybe it's bad for you, maybe it's not bad for you, or like how it's going to affect you health-wise in the long run. Obviously, I talked about the nicotine and what the nicotine can do for you, or what not can do for you, what it does to you, and how it affects you long term. We know about how e-cigarettes were introduced as a smoking cessation tool, and it's not really needed for teens who are trying smoking for the first time using a smoking cessation tool. It's marked as not it's marked not as bad for you as traditional tobacco smoking. However, I feel like teens are misinterpreting this because just because they think it's not as bad for you, I think they think it's, only a little bad for you, and that's just not the case in this. The other topic I chose was marketing, and marketing actually surprised me. I didn't think I was going to use marketing. I thought I was going to use sociology. But the more I researched why teens were vaping, the more I felt that marketing was the better choice for it. I thought marketing was mostly like ads and commercials, and then I realized that that's not all marketing is. Marketing is also the use of like how a company designs a product, with the colors it can do, the customizations, and e-cigarettes are extremely customizable. Social media also has to do with marketing. So e-cigarettes are extremely customizable. They can come in a bunch of different colors or shapes, and they look like everyday objects. They can look like highlighters, pens, flash drives is the most common, that's a Juul, or they can look like harmonicas. They can look like there is some that look like inhalers for asthmatic patients. And I feel like this is a problem because what if one day a kid is supposed to always have their inhaler on them, and instead of walking out the door, they grab the wrong inhaler, and they won't have that when they need it. And the ones that look like inhaler are actually able to be customizable to to be able to use aerosolized weed and other cannabis products. And that's not good for teenagers either. And then they come in a bunch of different colors too, and these colors are attracting because this is a generation that likes customizable things that personalize, so they don't have to have the same thing as everybody else. And I feel like you need to know. So we talked about what's in a vape, and I felt like that was important also because you can modify a vape from the different liquid, how much a liquid can hold, how much heat it can have to produce bigger clouds. You can have different flavors in them. Like, you can modify a bunch of things, the mouthpieces on these products. And so if you don't know what the product, how it's designed, how it can be modified, you don't know why this is bad for you. You don't know what it actually modifies. And so the bigger the cloud produced, the more heat it does, the more nicotine dose they're consuming, the more a person is, like a bigger dose of nicotine the person is consuming. And that's the bigger the cloud, the bigger the secondhand smoke or vaporize. We don't know what that is yet. And social media was actually the second biggest reason that kids or teens chose to vape or use electronic cigarettes. And so social media has all these kinds of challenges or how-to tutorials, and there was one YouTube video that shows you step by step at school how to take apart a regular black permanent Sharpie and put a Juul inside of it and keep extra pod modifications in the Sharpie, and it puts it back together. And so there's also other challenges like do it for the Juul or did it for the vape. Vape is great, stuff like that. And then they're trying to influence teens to try these, doing it at school, doing it in the classroom, doing it in the bathroom, like who can do it like better, like without getting caught and stuff like that. And I think these challenges also show you how to make different clouds, different shapes. And this is important because teens get bored. Like, you try to keep them in other activities such as like art or PE or like sports or after school band or anything like that, because you want them to stay away from things that can influence them to do bad things. And so if teens are bored, like, why not try it? Why not learn how to do better? And then these online social media communities, they can have like customizable, so it makes them all feel like a close knit, so they don't feel as bad like there's someone else that can do it. They will always find someone else who does what they do. And I feel like both of these disciplines helped me understand the problem better because, again, you have to know you can modify it or that you can get different flavors, but you have to know what's in the flavors. What are they consuming? Or what is the modification? Is it making them have a stronger dose, a smaller dose? Like, are they doing it for the clouds? Or are they doing it for the thing? You have to know, like, just because you can modify it, what is in it, what's not. You have to know about the nicotine doses, like what they are consuming. How is it affecting the people around them? And this is a big issue because A teen that goes to a doctor and they are asked the question, do you smoke? Most of the time they will say, no, I do not smoke, but they do consume electronic cigarettes. So that needs a question that needs to be added to the thing. Do you smoke? No. Okay. Do you use electronic cigarettes? Well, yes. And then, so you have to be watching out for that when you ask people on the thing, because kids still do not like smoking. Like, they don't see it's cool, it's fun, or anything like that. They don't like the smell of it, obviously. Like, they don't like any of these types of things that smoking, yet they are consuming nicotine just like a smoker, because a 1 Juul pod contains a whole pack of cigarettes, if not more, because it can't be modified to have more. And then some of these kids are smoking these things faster, so they are they're consuming more nicotine than a person who just smokes regular cigarettes. And it's hard for teachers and other adults to know what to look for, because you can't tell a kid they can't use a flash drive or a Sharpie or a pen or a highlighter, maybe a harmonica, or inhalers. They look just like inhalers in these objects, so it's hard. It's not like they have a big red sign saying, hey, don't use me, I'm bad for you. And that's for teachers too, or adults. The teachers don't see a red sign to look out for. Oh, you can't have that, obviously. It's not an alcohol bottle. Or kids don't, oh, that's not as bad for me, so I can use that. It's not like it has a big red sign for anybody to know what to use. And I feel like this problem will only keep growing until someone figures out an end to this.